Hey, what's going on, everyone? Greg here with RC Driver. Welcome back to the channel. If you're a new viewer, hey, it's awesome to have you here. We talk about all sorts of RC car stuff, from really high-end stuff to really cheap stuff, and that's today's topic. We've got something really inexpensive that is actually going to be a lot of fun, I think. So let's not wait any longer. Let me show you guys what I have found. And it's in this brown box right here, the Danchee Ridgerock. This is actually from the Redcat Racing brand. Let's pop open the box here to check this little vehicle out. This thing is under, well, it's around $100, I think. It depends on the shipping and everything like that. But let me pull it out of the box and we can take a closer look at it. Okay, so here it is, our Danchee Ridgerock. And this is a 1/10 scale electric four-wheel drive rock crawler, basically. And this is a pretty cool little rig. Now, I saw this on the Redcat Racing website, and I got to tell you guys, the pictures just don't do it justice here. This thing looks a lot better in person. Now, this is kind of a toy grade RC vehicle, and actually, I think they kind of call it a Tobby grade. And reason being is it's kind of toy-like and it's kind of hobby grade-like because you could actually go and replace some of the parts on this vehicle. Redcat Racing offers a lot of the parts in order to swap anything out that may be broken or just needs to be replaced after some wear. So that's pretty cool. You know, it's got the price of a toy, yet you could still, work on it. And it is actually tunable. I'm going to show you in a little bit. There's some parts here that it comes with that you could actually tune this vehicle. But first up, this body, pretty cool. It's kind of your standard rock crawler body. Not used as often now, and I think that should change because these are really cool the way they look. We've got simple driver figures in there, simple roll cage on top, and as you can see, this thing just kind of flexes around. It's really there for looks, but it gives you that rock crawler feel, and I think it's going to look good out there on the rocks. Next thing that caught my eye was these tires. They actually look like a pretty nice tire for a toy grade vehicle. It's actually more of a hobby grade tire. They're fairly soft, maybe more of a medium compound, but this is what's pretty cool. This is actually a beadlock rim. I thought that was very cool to see on a toy. Now, same thing in the rear. As you may notice, the steering is kind of moved in the rear, and that's because it has four-wheel steering as well. That is very neat for a toy to have, and there's actually a number of different modes. I'm going to show you that in a little bit, but I think it's very awesome that something in this price range has four-wheel steering on it. And if you look a bit closer, it's actually got a hobby-grade servo in the front and in the rear as well. Pretty neat how they have those laid out on the axle here. This is a motor on axle, so right behind the servo down on the axle here is the motor. There's actually one front and rear motor, so two motors in this. Again, for the price point, something with two motors, two servos. I really like what they have going on here. Now, the other thing that is really neat that I have to point out are the shocks. These are oil-filled shocks on here, so check that out. Nice and smooth, and look at that. Look at that articulation there. That thing has got a lot of twist in it. That looks pretty awesome. Bet you it's going to look cool out there when it's on the rocks. Let's flip this thing over to see what's under the body here. So here's our lower skid. We got a link style suspension here. It's a Y-link up top with some plastic links underneath. Not a big deal. Again, this is a toy, so this is totally cool. And actually, what's pretty neat, it's got metal ball studs in there. That's really nice to see on something, again, of this price point. Let's just pull the body off really quick so you can see what the chassis looks like. I think the battery is in there. We could check that out as well. And here we go. So yeah, basically, we've got a rock crawler style frame. This is plastic, but there's our battery right there. And I'm guessing the speed controller is mounted down in the lower pan. Yeah, there's the speed controller. If you look down deep in there, it's in there. Trust me. But really simple. Nice, simple setup. It looks very cool. And this is actually, let's just check out this battery really quick because this is a Li-ion battery, I believe. Yeah, so that's a Li-ion battery, 7.4 volt. And that's much better than a lot of toy grade vehicles out there. All right, let's look at some of the stuff it comes with now. So this is the radio system, a 2.4 gigahertz radio system, and it's got some trim adjustments up top here. You're gonna need to put some batteries in the bottom. You're gonna have to supply that. But what's really cool about this radio system is right here. See these different modes? These modes are accessed right here by this button, and what it allows you to do is actually change the steering because it's got four-wheel steering. So you could have front steer, you could have a full front and rear steering, so you have nice tight corners. I think that is the crab style of steering, and then you could have rear steer as well. So pretty neat. You just go and toggle through that, and that's how you change the modes. It's a pretty basic, plasticky type radio, but it gets the job done. It doesn't feel actually too bad. What it also comes with is a charger, a USB charger for the battery. And then over here we have some shock preload clips. So this is the tuning I was telling you about. You go and put these clips right here in the shocks underneath the spring, and it will change the preload of the spring. And pretty neat that it comes with that. What I also noticed it comes with is a wheel wrench right here. This the cross wrench. It takes the wheel nuts off. And then right here, it has lockout servo arms on it. So we've got a servo saver on there now, and this lockout will basically give you a stiffer steering feel. And of course, Danchee gives you a manual as well, and basically gives you all the details, everything you're going to need to know to get this vehicle up and running. So this is pretty neat. I can't wait to check it out. Again, for the price of this vehicle, this is just going to be a lot of fun for someone that wants to get into rock crawling really cheap, maybe some kids, heck, even adults. I'm looking forward to running it. So I am going to go find a cool spot to run it, maybe even get my kids behind the wheel, and we'll see what the Danchee Ridgerock can do. So the Ridgrock here is supposed to be a toy grade RC crawler, kind of hobbyish because they have repair parts for it, but I'm going to say it is more of a hobby grade type of vehicle because it handles much better than anything you could buy in a big box store. And I've actually picked up a few toy grade crawlers from some of the big box stores. This thing just blows them away. They did a great job with this vehicle, and I know it's not new. It's new to the channel here, but this has been out for a while, and I'm excited to tell people about it that don't know about it because I had a great time with this. I actually brought this along with me on a family trip. We went up to Maine, and we went to a resort where there was rocks near the Bay Area. There was a lot of wooded adventures to go on and stuff, and so I brought this along with me, and my kids came out to drive it as well. And this thing just crawls up and over the rocks with ease. It was so much fun, and just watching the articulation of the suspension, the power is definitely there to pull and climb up and over rocks and stuff. It was just a blast out there, just driving around, and my kids too. They just had a great time with it. Now the steering on here, when it's just front steer, it turns a bit wide, but as I talked to you guys about before, this has multiple steering setups in there, and so we set it up so both wheels will turn to give the vehicle a tighter turning radius, and that's where we left it most of the time, and it would just steer wherever we wanted to. It was a lot of fun. So not only did it crawl up stuff with ease, it got around some of the obstacles that we had to with ease because of the good steering on there, and even kind of going downhill, it was very controllable. With some vehicles, when you go down a descent, especially with a toy grade vehicle, it kind of picks up speed. This thing went pretty slow down the rocks. It was very surprising. I was kind of thinking toy grade, But as I started to drive it, I'm like, this is really much more designed around the hobby aspect. And, you know, this just the toy, it kind of applies to the price point of this thing, which I said it's around $100, $120, depending on where you buy it. It is a great vehicle. Now, when the kids were driving it, you know, they were beating it up pretty good. Yeah, they were driving it over some rocks that you know, just caused them to flip over down the hills and stuff like that. And you know, they got a kick out of it, but it held up. There was no durability issues during our testing. We were there for, up in Maine for a few days running it around, and it was just generally so much fun. And we kind of had a fight between us on who was going to drive it next, because it was just a great time with this vehicle. So if you're looking to get into RC through the toy side of things, and you still want that ability to repair the vehicle if necessary, and you know, you want something that handles really well, that will crawl, this Danchee Ridgerock is a great start into radio control. I completely recommend it. I had so much fun with it, and I bet anybody that gets one of these is going to have a great time with it too.